Hey y'all. Um, it is late Saturday night and I have procrastinated and waited to the last minute to sit down and video this. Kendall's with me. We're out on the back porch. We got some lights that light up our back porch and I bought this really cool LED candle. I want you to see it a little bit closer. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So hang on, it's going to change colors. It's so cool. I love this candle. Also, it's an LED candle, but it's a Citronella bug candle. Cool, right? So it's keeping the bugs away. Gonna hear my frogs in the background as well. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about 2020 vision, and focus and seeing. And so I wore my glasses and I'm gonna get my glasses again and I won't get back up. So if you've probably never seen me in glasses, so I just want to show you how thick my glasses are. Can you see them?
Yeah.
They're like stupid thick. Kendall like that. Okay, so without my glasses, I can't see anything. I can't even see the big E on the eye exam chart at the eye doctor. I promise you. So my vision, my natural born vision, I can't see anything. So without my contacts or without my glasses, I am what I call super blind. So, you know, and thinking about that, and I told you guys that a lot of people, with 2020 coming up, a lot of people thought, this is going to be the year of great, perfect vision, 2020 vision for 2020, and seeing clearly and being focused on God. And I did a little bit of research with that, and I have some scriptures, lots of scriptures and some stories, and a book that I'm reading that actually what I read just yesterday tied in with this whole lesson, so I'm going to read a part of that. I hope you're all doing well. It's exhausting. I enjoy doing these videos. I enjoy getting texts from you and talking to you. I hope that you guys are doing good. I hope that you're getting your schoolwork done. I hope you're not driving your parents crazy and your parents are not driving you crazy. It's just as hard on us parents as it is on you guys, and we love you and we're trying to make things the best we can. I know that so many people are going through so much, so please continue to pray in the morning when you wake up, pray at night when you go to bed, pray in the middle of the day when you're thinking about something. Just continually talk to God. Give him glory and praise for great things that he's done. If you have, I heard this one time and it stuck with me, if you have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food in your mouth, you have more than 70% of the world's population. That's huge. That is huge. So thank God for everything that you have. There's so much things that come through being thankful and giving thanks. But that's not my lesson today. That's being thankful is not my lesson today. So I want to read to you a couple scriptures, and then I'm gonna read you the story first. So where this all kind of started, and I'm going to read this out of the book of John, chapter 20. Oh, chapter 20, verse 20. And that's cool. Like, I didn't plan that, but in the book of John, in the gospel of Jesus, chapter 20, verse 20, so 2020, John 20:20, it says this. After he said this, he showed them his hands and side. The disciples were overwhelmed when they saw the Lord. Now, what is this talking about? If I back it up a little bit, Jesus appears to the disciples after the crucifixion and resurrection. Jesus comes to them, and in this room, and of course, he goes to Doubting Thomas and shows him, has him put his hand in his side and all that good stuff, so that the doubting and the unbelieving would know, the disciples. It was very important. So it says when they When he showed them his hands and they saw his side, they were joyful. Right there, Jesus gave them the gospel glasses. Where they were once blind, they could see. You know, we sing about it in Amazing Grace. I once was blind, but now I see. A little bit further on down, chapter 20, verse 29, then Jesus told him, talking about Thomas, doubting Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and that yet they have believed. You and I are those people that Jesus is talking about right here. We believe even though we haven't seen. What do you believe? What do you see when you see Jesus? Do you see the world with gospel glasses? Do you see the world the way Jesus sees the world? Do you see the people the way Jesus saw people? You know, Jesus ate in houses with sinners. Jesus touched people with leprosy that other people despised. You know, Jesus, he was very different. He was not a religious person. He was God, and he came to love and came to see people for who they were, and they were created by his Father, by God, by him. So I want to read a couple things, a couple of scriptures. I just printed them out. Psalm 101, verse 3, clean eyes. I will not look with approval on anything that is vile. I hate what faithless people do. I will have no part in it. Unclean eyes. Psalm 119:18. Open my eyes that I might see wonderful things in your law. This is scripture eyes. You know, I think we need to ask God sometimes, you know, in prayer, God, help us to see what you want us to see. Because, you know, when we look at the world through worldly eyes and through worldly glasses, there's just so much sin and brokenness. But when we look at the world through gospel glasses, through the eyes of Jesus, we can see hope in that person that is sinful. We can see love in that broken situation. And, you know, we've got to carry that. I'm going to get into that in a second, but it's our job as Christians to carry that and to see and to help others see. So, eyes that are farsighted, and this might not be technically right, but 2 Corinthians 4:18, we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is only temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. You and I don't get to look at heaven every day. We don't get to look at the face of God every day. So what we see every day, all of this is temporary. But we are supposed to fix our eyes on what is unseen. Our hope in the future, our hope in Jesus. So do you have that farsightedness that you can see that hope in the distance? Eyes that are nearsighted enough to see what is just right in front of us. Philippians chapter 2 verse 4. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. Do you have the eyes of Jesus? Can you look at someone and see their need and see that they need help, or that they need encouragement or comfort? I really like this concept, this verse of clean eyes. What are you looking at? Is it clean? Eyes that see scripture. You know, there's I actually read a book one time about a missionary. It was a spiritual warfare book. It was a shake you up kind of book. But it was where missionaries had traveled overseas and around the world, and this one missionary had gone into a voodoo village in Africa, and miracles were happening. People were surrendering to the gospel and believing in Jesus and giving their life to Jesus. And this voodoo doctor came in to the tent where these services were happening, and these missionaries were there and praying for people, and they were being healed. And he was not able to see the words in the Bible. He wanted to come and see what was happening and see what was going on. And when the missionary was like, you know, we proclaim the word of God, and in his own language, in the language of the people there, he puts the Bible in front of the man, and the man says, what is this book? What is this book you hand me with blank pages? And I'm going to tell you where and it rocks my world, man. When I was reading that story, and it's in the Bible, it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, starting in verse 4, the God of this age, Satan, the God of the world, has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that is displayed in the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. For what we preach is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. For God, who said, let light shine out of darkness, made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory, displayed in the face of Christ. So let me back up to that first verse. The God of this age, the God of this world, who is Satan, blinds unbelievers. He blinds unbelievers through sin. So let's think about this for a second. There are unsaved unbelievers in Jesus all over this world, and they're walking around and they're seeing the world blindly. They cannot see. They are blind. It is our job as Christians. It's the Holy Spirit that lives within us to reveal to them the gospel and the truth, so that they can put on their gospel glasses and see the world the way Jesus would have them see it. I just thought it was cool, and I remember that book. It's been years since I read that spiritual warfare book, but it was it rocked me to my core. All right, I'm also going to go in really quick into Isaiah and read you something really quick in Isaiah chapter 6. And I want to skip a little bit, but the king had, you'll find when, I don't know that you'll find a better vision in the Bible than the vision that God allowed Isaiah to see. There's lots of visions in the Bible. I love the story of Paul being blinded on the road and God giving him his sight and removing the scales from his eyes. There's places in the Old Testament where God removed the covering off of their eyes as if they were blind so that they could see. So us, in our spiritual lives as Christians, being able to see, having that sight, spiritual sight, a heart of God is, it's essential, guys. This is essential as the breath of air that we breathe, as the beat of our heart. It is essential for us as Christians to have a spiritual sight. I feel like I'm not doing this at all justice. I feel like this is just not the way I planned for it to go. But what I'm just trying to get across to you is that I want you to see things the way Jesus sees them. And I got some stories that just popped up in my head now. I'm going to share with you in a second. But here we go. I saw the Lord high and exalted, seated on the throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Isaiah is seeing God, okay, in the temple. Above him were seraphim, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings that covered their face. With 2 they covered their feet. And with 2 they were flying. And they were calling to one another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory. At the sound of their voices, the doorpost and threshold shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Woe, this is what Isaiah says, woe to me, I cried, I am ruined. Even Isaiah, he is like, in seeing God, just like when the disciples saw the hands and the side of Jesus, they knew. It's like he says, woe to me, I cry, I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. Then one of the seraphim flew to me with a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. With it he touched my mouth and said, "See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin has been atoned for." Of course, this is in the Old Testament. This is before Jesus. So we're in the temple. We're in the altar where sins, had to be brought to, and the angel touches his lips with this hot coal from the altar and says, and he did that. It did that because Isaiah basically confessed his sin right there. He basically saw God and said, "Whoa, woe is me. I am a horrible person. I am ruined. I'm a person of unclean lips. The people I'm with, that I hang out with, they're people of unclean lips." Has God ever jolted you like that? Like a lightning bolt hit you? Like, wow. And so immediately God sends this angel and says, and he takes the coal from the altar and places it on his lips and cleans him. Hey, your sin is atoned for here. You are forgiven. So immediately he confessed, and immediately he was forgiven in the presence of God in the temple. Okay, so reads on in chat. I can't hardly see because of my glasses. In verse 8, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send?" I love this part. "Whom shall I send?" And Isaiah, just being forgiven of his sins, says, "Here am I, send me." We can't just have eyes that see and then hands and feet and a mouth that don't do nothing. We can't be given this great sight, this great ability to see hope and love and future and mercy and grace and just hold it all in and keep it to ourselves. If we don't take it out, if we don't speak it, if we don't walk it, if we don't talk it, if we don't use our hands and be the hands and feet of Jesus, then it's nothing. You and I are called to do that as Christians. Did I get all my Bible verses in? I think so. Oh, there's also a verse, and I wrote in my notes, Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. We have to have a vision here on earth. We have to always have a hope and always have a faith and remain in that in our lives. I said I had two stories. I can remember. It's been a long time ago. 15 years. This year, 2020, I have been in youth ministry for 15 years, since 2005. So 2020 marks 15 years of youth ministry for me, and I actually been thinking about that. We celebrate 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So for 15 years, and I can tell you, it was probably several years in to youth ministry that I feel like I was able to really walk in the feet of Jesus. And it was a time where I had taken a group of young people out to Atlanta to serve and to feed the homeless, and in the atmosphere, the circumstance we were in, yes, it was different. It was definitely out of our element. It was a little bit scary. It was hard for some. Some people were they were afraid. And I could remember having those same fears and having a little bit of anxiety about it, especially because I was a leader and I was like, oh, I gotta protect everybody, get my little chicks behind the hen. So in that, and in stepping out in that, all I can remember, I don't really remember everything that happened when we were out there, but I can remember coming home, and I can remember walking into my house, and I was exhausted. I was tired because we hadn't slept much, and we had just been working and doing, and I can remember just this overwhelming feeling come over me. And I literally fell to my knees in the living room in here, in the chair. I planted my head into the chair. My knees were on the ground. And I just thanked God for everything I had. I mean, I thank God for the mattress I had to sleep on. I thank God for the refrigerator to keep my food in. I thank God for the socks on my feet and my shoes. And I just remember just like going on and on and on and on, thanking God, because I had been with people who had none of what I had. Now, I don't live in no mansion, and I don't have a whole lot of money, and I don't have nice, great, fancy, wonderful things. But when I came home that day, I had come out of a situation where people had nothing. They laid on the street, and I went to bed that night, and I can remember not being able to sleep and praying because it was cold outside, and thinking, you know, I am in my heated home, in my bed with my sheets on it, with a pillow under my head. And my heart was just broken. My heart was broken for what I had seen and what I had been around and what I had walked in and through. Oh, I wasn't planning on this story. Give me a second. I can honestly tell you, in that moment, I was changed. And like I said, it was weird because it wasn't when I was in it, because I was just like working it, doing it. It was when I walked back home. And I actually text the people that we were with later that day. My glasses are fogging up. Hang on. I text the people that we were with that day, and I said, oh, they were like, is it all good? Were the kids good? I was like, yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I better check on them. Because when I got home, I got all messed up inside, and I couldn't sleep last night thinking. And you know what they said to me? They said, Melinda, you were the hands and feet of Jesus. And it was a lot. It was a lot to take in, wasn't it? And I just was like, yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty broken right now. It was a mess. And now I'm a mess, and I'm sorry. I haven't thought about that in a while, but I can tell you, my vision changed. My eyesight changed. My gospel glasses were put on. And I saw there was a lot to do, and I couldn't do it all. And that's frustrating at times. I know it is. You think, there's so many people doing so many wonderful things, I can't do it all. And we can't. But we can try. We can try to say things to help people. We can try to give what we can give. God knows what you have, and God is going to use what you have. Look at the people He used in the Bible. God is, if you are open and willing and say like Isaiah said, here am I, send me. That's a dangerous prayer, and it's going to get me into this. I started reading this book. It's called Dangerous Prayers. It's the top 2020 Christian book. So I ordered it, and it says change your prayers and change your life. I had a story about a friend, but I don't think I'm going to get into that. I think I'm going to skip that because it's been a little overwhelming for a minute. So I'm going to end. I'm going to end with this. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm able to see. So, in the second part of this book, and I'm like highlighting and marking like crazy, but I'm just going to read to you some of it. So this book is about praying dangerous prayers. It's about some dangerous prayers that were prayed in the Bible, and about praying. One is search me, God, and know my heart. The prayer of David, and man, it just talks about having a deeper, dangerous prayer relationship with God, not just asking for the simple. And there was something that shook me in here earlier. Is I don't know if I can think about it. I might have to tell you about that next time. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to read this and kind of end. So it says, your life is not your own. You belong to God. You are His servant. You are His ambassador. You are His representation on earth. You are the hands, the feet, and the mouth of Jesus. Your prayers, maybe wearing my glasses wasn't a good idea. I just wanted to show you how blind I was. Your prayers will start to grow from self-focused request, do this for me, God, help me, Lord, into God-centered, gospel-powered, God-glorifying prayers. Anywhere, God, anytime, whatever you want, I am yours. You recognize that the same God who has forgiven you has also called you and has chosen you. Every single day, He has appointments planned for you. He has people for you to bless. He has things for you to give. He has opportunities for you to serve. When you are surrendered to God, you will have eyes to see where He's working. You will have a heart to feel what touches His heart. And you will have hands that will show His love. You will see people who need encouragement. And His Spirit will give you the words to say. You will see someone who has a need, and God will prompt you to meet that need. You will see someone who is alone, and you will show them God's love. You are His servant, but you have to be available. You have to be eager. And like Isaiah that I read, Isaiah chapter 6, you have to be ready to go. Are you ready? Are your gospel glasses on? Can you see? What has this world blinded you to? Y'all start thinking about some of those things. I mean, you got the opportunity. You got your whole life. Like, I'm getting old. I've been doing this 15 years. I don't know how many more years I got. I don't know how many more years God's going to bless me. And it's time to pass the torch. It's time to throw the torch. It's time to be like, go. Here I am, Lord. Send me. Are you ready to go? Do you have your gospel glasses on? Don't be blinded anymore by this world. See the way Jesus wants us to see. Thank you for being patient with me. I didn't mean to get all tore up on y'all tonight. And I can't see very good with these glasses. I can see better with my contacts. But just in the sake of showing you my weakness and my vulnerability as to how blind I am. And yes, I received lots of criticism and jokes about my blindness, especially from my beloved children. Sometimes I can't see things very well. But I can assure you, God has shown me. He has used me and in ways that sometimes I'll get home and be like, what just happened? And it was God. It was God. And you know, when we are softened to Him, when we have our eyes fixed on Him, He's going to give us that perfect vision that we need to see the world and to do. I love you guys. I'm praying for you. Continue praying. We want to get out of this and come to church. I want to see you. I want to see you face to face. I promise I won't wear my glasses. I hope you have a great week. I love you.